Hi there, this is Dr. Embody with Project 5. And this project is about taking a file of data. We grab some census data about salaries, and you're going to ask some questions of it, like what are the average salary of people, of waiters, for example, or real estate agents, or something like that. So we're going to take a file. We're going to use slicing to get the data out of the file because it is column-oriented data. And then you're going to do things like find maximums and minimums and averages and stuff like that. So let's take a look at this. In this description, we tell you where the columns are. So there's an occupation code, column 0 through 10, the title 10 through 11. By the way, that's one of the ones we're most interested in. Everything else occupies 13 columns. So we're interested in entry number 7. That's the ones starting in column 132, that being the salary. Entry 3, which starts in column 120, that's the group. And we're only interested in that because we only care about ones that are labeled detailed here, and this gives us a way to ignore the rows that we don't care about. And then entry 2, which is that entry, starts in column 10, and it's actually a long one, right? But that's the occupation description, and that's where we are going to search. Further down in here, we actually show a little bit about what's going on, some examples. But even more important is this little bit here about finding how do you find a minimum? Okay, and this, by the way, is also part of Lab 6. So you might want to take a look at that beforehand, because there's a lot of overlap between Lab 6 and this project. Okay, so let's take a look at how this program actually works. So first of all, it prompts for a file name, and then it asks for an occupational keyword, and this should be case insensitive. Let's look at real estate. And what types of information get gathered here? Well, the normal thing is, okay, so that's real estate, case insensitive. So it finds all the occupation names that have real estate. So there's real estate, there's real estate, there's real estate, there's real estate. We print out the salaries. Notice that we do have commas in there. We expect you to do that. This is all nicely lined up in columns. We find a min and a max, and we find the average. Okay, so that's the basic way that this works. And the average, how to find the min and the max, that's described both in this project and in Lab 6. And how to find the average of a set of numbers. And at the same time, we also count. Well, that's no big deal, because in fact you need to count to do the average. What else might you do? Another possibility when we run this is, suppose there's only one. All right, so let's do waiter, and we're supposed to do the file name, so we do have that error checking in there, the occupation, and notice this time that there's only one occupation, and so we don't find a min and a max. So there's in this case, you have to be smart enough to recognize that there's no min or max. We do say that we do print out the average, which is trivial, of course, because there is only one occupation there. But we do expect you to not calculate a min or a max in that situation. There is one other situation. Let's enter the file in here, and suppose I just hit carriage return here. So this is empty. Then we want you to check all occupations. So in this case, you're going to check them all, and you'll notice that there are 816 of these, and we list them all out nicely, and you know, we can see who's the max and the min, and also have an average salary calculated for that. All right, so how might I go about doing this project? So let's take a look at this. What I like to do is, if I have a project that involves a file, then the first thing I will do is just open that file and make sure that I can work with it. And in this case, I start out by not even prompting for it. So let's open up our file, and for every line in the file, I will just print the line. And this is a nice way to start. There's 800 lines in there. So this is a nice way to start. There's 800 lines in there. Let's just print out all the information, and that lets you see that how this file is arranged. This, by the way, is one line there. So it starts with some kind of an occupation code, and then it has a description, which is long. Actually, there's plenty of space in there for that. The group, in this case detailed, you know, notice some are broad, some are detailed. We want the detailed. We're not going to look at one if it has broad. And then we need the a salary, and we tell you which columns to find that. And there's a bunch of numbers here, and we put in the description which one is the one we're interested in. So that's start out. Okay, so I can print the file, I can see what's there. We describe which columns are of interest to us. You know, so we have this description of, you know, where the columns are, how long they are, where they start, and so on. So using that information, I can then move on to the next stage, which is to extract out just those columns. Okay, so you can see here that I did not prompt for the file. I'm going to add that to my program later on. I don't show you what this code is because that's part of your job. And what did I do? I printed out the occupation name, I printed out the average salary, and then this field which tells us which group it's in. So for example, I am only going to want the ones that are detailed, not ones that are broad. And so one of the next things that I might do is only print the ones that are detailed. Just take this one step at a time. Okay, so the next step, I only printed the ones that were detailed, and the previous one was a little hard to read, so I started putting a little formatting in here, lining up the salaries and so on. And there's about there's you know, over 800 lines of information. But now I have the salaries. I can go and do something like find the average, and you know how to find an average. You're going to total stuff up, so you initialize it and you know, add things up, count how many there were, and then you can create an average. So you might start by just finding the average of all of them. That was what I did, and you could see earlier in the video what those values are. So do this a little bit at a time. It's got a lot of relationship to the Lab 6, but go ahead, get these. Once you're at this point, now you have the two pieces of information that are important. That is the name of the occupation and the associated salary, and we're going to take those averages. With that, that should be enough. Good luck.